First and foremost, guys, like I said, in this industry, we see approximately 90% of people that are financing their purchase. There are still some cash buyers out there, but there's something that we want to shed some light on, per se, that we kind of refer to as a game, and one that can be very fun to win because it's going to save you a lot of money. So, Dallas, just out of curiosity, I mean, why do we see so many people that are financing that purchase instead of trying to take it to a credit union, bring us green dollar bills? What is the incentive there?
Well, I mean, you have to kind of look at it on two planes here. I mean, one, in the RV industry, I think a lot of people are financing these things because they're recreational by nature. They, don't want to dump a lot of cash, especially right now. Right. You know what I mean? So I think a lot of people are willing to do that, and the payments are generally pretty affordable for what you can get, something like this. And that would probably be why industry-wide you see it. Now, as far as us, how we do things a little differently, obviously there's a big incentive there, as we all know. We actually give the money, that the bank's giving to us. A lot of people don't even realize that, that a dealership gets money when you finance through them. Most dealerships, they're taking that 90% of customers that are doing that, and they're putting that money right in their pocket, and that's just residual income. Whatever they want to do with that, that's just additional profit. We learned 25 plus years ago that, hey, these banks are willing to pay us, so let's give that to our customer. Customer gets a little better deal, they're more apt to buy from us again. We're as transparent as we always are. I mean, that would be the reason, I think, on both levels as to why I think you see so many people finance.
Well, and we're not talking about a couple $100s.
No.
I mean, I've been doing this a long time. I personally know of dealers that are making as much by financing their customers' purchase as they are by selling them that product, whatever it is. But we are referring to thousands of dollars. And correct me if I'm wrong with the terminology, but reserve money, kickback money, that's kind of what the check, if you will, that we receive by giving your business to a bank institution is referred to as. So it's just simply us. I mean, we're writing the loans, we're working with the customer, we're doing the job of the bank so that they don't have to, but they're the ones that collect the interest. So it's a very interesting game, right? But so you did mention something about what we do different. Obviously, those that have purchased from us or considering or doing quotes, you'll see that one of our biggest discounts is the financing discount. That is simply the money that the banks give to us, and we just decide to do something a little bit different with, right? To summarize that.
Correct.
Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, so you refer to it as a game. So the game is by the customer, right? They're playing the game to buy the camper, and they're looking for the best deal, and that's the game. So when financing, the game is what is the best deal to finance the camper, get the payment down, et cetera, et cetera. I guess my question is to you, Dallas, is if I'm financing with Camper Dealership A and RV Wholesalers, and both of them have the exact same camper, we're going to use the same bank, Bank X. If I go with Dealership A and I go with RV Wholesalers, what exactly is the difference? You had mentioned the kickback. RV Wholesalers is giving me money. Why would Dealership A not do the exact same thing if they're using the same bank? Why?
Well, I mean, again, it's just residual income. I mean, that's money they can put in their pocket, and honestly, most customers don't know that. I mean, let's take this for instance. I started this 12 years ago, and we've all been doing this for a while. I didn't know about that until I started this. I mean, to be honest with you, and a lot of people don't. They may know something about it, the dealer gets something, but as you so eloquently put it, they don't know it's thousands of dollars. They may think it's a couple $100s or something like that, and that's really not anything that's going to break the bank. But we actually go out there and tell the customer, hey, we are getting money from the bank. By the way, if you want to play this game, if you want to go down this route, you can get that money. We can give that to you. And again, not a small amount of money. And we'll even go as far as, because I know we've all done it, we've all talked to customers and told them, listen, if you're a cash buyer, there's many ways to handle this.
That's one thing I wanted to get into as well. The one of the funny things that I guess as I'm explaining it to a customer, they're almost questioning it.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that has to do with the purchase that they, I just bought that truck.
Yeah.
How much money did that dealer make off of me without me knowing?
So that's why I asked that, is because I'll have a customer that'll ask, so you're telling me I can get the exact same thing from another dealership using the exact same bank, and yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm not punishing you for using cash.
Sure.
I'm trying to help you save money.
Right.
And it's astounding to me that they'll use those words. You're punishing me for using cash? No, sir, I'm not. I'm trying to give you a discount.
Right.
Well, those two things, a cash buyer and a person that is loyal to their credit union. Those are two things I wanted to go over with. Cash buyers, see, I mean, to who it is not news for, cash is obviously no longer king. If the bank is paying me as much as I'm making by selling you a product, clearly I have an incentive to want to talk, at least explain what the game is. But so most of our cash buyers, what they simply do, there is a contingency within a recreational vehicle purchase to keep that loan open for a 12-month term. Now we'll obviously set it up for longer, right? Because and I get this all the time too. So you're saying I can finance $2,000 of the 30 and get, no, why would the bank give me $2,500 if you're financing $2,000, right? But overall, there is what our cash buyers do. You'll take the monthly payment. I'm going to just make it simple. We'll say $200. You have to make 12 of those payments. That's called your minimum balance due, that $2,400 if you did the math. If you were buying a $20,000 camper, you take the difference of which is $17,600, you're putting that down on the first payment. It goes directly to principal. It is not being collected by interest. So at the end of a year, even if your interest rate is higher than what you think it should be, you're still playing the game. You can do 7.9% times $2,400, whatever those couple $100 are, is what they're taking from you, right? So,
yeah, that's exactly right.
But what would you have to say about a credit union? There are some customers that, hey, I already have financing in place. I've been working with this bank. That's what I'm comfortable with. I don't want you to run my credit. I don't want you to X, Y, and Z. How would you overcome that or explain to best play this game?
Pros and cons, if you would.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and obviously the pros to a credit union are probably what a lot of people know. I mean, it's familiarity. I've done all my loans through them. Generally, they have some pretty aggressive rates, especially if you're talking about employee credit unions, things like that. A lot of times they have like payroll deduction. You can take it right out of your payroll. You don't even know it's coming out. So
it's a lot easier, or convenience, if you will.
Right. The convenience is there, and I think that's the biggest pro to it. Right. The cons to it, as far as you're not, obviously what we just talked about, you're not getting that finance kickback.
Yeah, they're not just saying, hey, here's a check, have a good day.
Right,
they're just giving a little bit, that's what I see, a little bit more of a competitive interest rate. Right.
And ultimately, like you said, all we have to do is keep that loan open a year. So listen, the difference, you can do the math, but the difference in 2-3% interest over a year isn't anywhere near what your discount's going to be. On a lot of our product, you're talking $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, depending on the product that you're buying, in finance money. So if you're paying a couple $100 in difference in interest in a year, I would trade that all day. Or I'm not going to trade that for thousands of dollars. I'll take the thousands of dollars, right?
Right.
So not to say that you couldn't finance through your credit union, and we want you to finance through whoever you want to finance through. But obviously the financial incentive is there, and that's why a lot of people will go through our financing. Then maybe a year later, if they want to go back through their credit union for all the reasons we just said, go right ahead. You're more than welcome to do it.
Well, and if I'm not mistaken, I mean, you have a camper right now.
I do.
You guys were using it while the period of your home was being built.
Yep.
You didn't go through a credit union.
No.
I have to assume that they, even if given a better interest rate, your motive, your incentive was the extra $4,000-$5,000 that you were getting in incentive money.
Yep.
So, and even, I'm not sure what the status is of the loan, but even if after that year, if you did decide to refinance through your credit union, possibly a lower interest rate, depending on what's going on in the world, you're refinancing a lower amount now because you've made those payments and a couple extra towards the principal. It's all you're setting yourself up for success in the future.
Absolutely,
right?
yeah. And you're financing a lower amount because you also got the discount.
Of course.
You know, and that's a big thing. Is a lot of people look at it and they in our society today we get really hyper focused in on rate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tunnel vision.
Yeah, you get really focused in on that rate, and the rate is one factor of a three-part equation. If you don't focus on those other two factors, which is the loan amount and the term, you know, then you really don't know what you're paying in interest, right? You know, you can take 10% interest and be paying that against $3,000. That's a much different number than 4% interest against $100,000.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
So you end up paying more interest the other way. So I think that's really customers to be educated on that and understand that. Listen, you have to look at everything as a whole. You got to look at how am I getting the best deal? What is the game to be played? You know, and how do I end up better on that end?
Yeah.
So.
Well, and that's the goal of this, shedding light on. We've already gotten, just from the first two responses, I've gotten at least, I'll say at least in the double digit of emails of people. We know it's working. People are taking, I mean, we just want to keep taking a step further. We want to keep shedding light on these things. So I do appreciate you being here with us today. Yes, go ahead. While I think of the thing that just slipped my mind.
So the dealer incentive or finance discount is what we call it. So we talk about campers all the time. I know I've done this when I went and bought my GMC. Boats, ATVs, trucks, cars. You can go into any dealership and say, "Hey, I'm about to finance this loan through you guys. I know you're getting a kickback. I've experienced it. I know I've talked to people that bought campers off me. Have you guys ever tried that anywhere?"
Well, and for, like I said, those customers that I talk to, they're either so mad that they're just now hearing what the game is, and they're wondering. It's almost like you can hear it through the phone. These gears ticking. All these purchases I have made. But yeah, that's one thing, guys. For those that are gaining some sort of information here and knowledge from this, the next purchase you make, ask them how much of that reserve money is yours. Just see their reaction, because it does not, as you said, does not matter if it's a car, a boat, a motorcycle, an airplane, a submarine. They're getting a huge kickback from the bank if you're financing through that dealer. So one other con too that just came back to me: credit unions do not allow you to borrow the same term, the same length of term.
Yeah,
that's one roadblock that I've at least been able to bring customers back on our side with. Even the ones that are so beat my head on a wall, they are determined to use their credit union.
Sure.
But if they only borrow 8 years versus what we can do 15, we all know you're not keeping a loan open for 15 years.
Right.
But that difference of the interest rate, that difference of the payment, that's make or break almost with your decision.
What you can afford is a good number to walk into a dealership with, okay? And saying, you know, my budget is $600, or my budget's $700, or $500, whatever that may be. And knowing that is power to you. You know, but like you just said, if I was to finance at a 3.5% rate at 5 years, that payment looks like this. If I finance at a 8% interest rate at 15 years, that payment's still smaller. Okay, so if you went in and you had already budgeted for a $500 payment because that's what it was going to be at 3% at 6 years or 5 years, and you still make that payment on my loan, the dirty little secret is, you're actually going to pay less interest.
Right.
You really are, even though the rate's lower, because it's like overfunding a loan. A lot of people, you compare it to mortgages. You know, everybody's got a mortgage, a lot of people do, and you do this with cars as well. Most automobile loans is, if you overfund that loan, if you pay more than what your payment is, and just ensure that the bank is applying that to principal. They have to if you tell them to.
Right.
They do. All that money is money that next month you're not paying interest on. You're not paying interest on that anymore because it is a simple interest loan. As long as it's a simple interest loan, you can do that, okay? Because they recalculate that every time the balance changes. So that's the big thing. And you'd mentioned walking into a dealership. I tell people to be very strategic about that. Just keep your dealer honest, you know, because the biggest thing that I find is people will go in and say, "Hey, I'm going to finance. Give me some of that money," right? Well, go in, work the deal, talk about it. You know, they'll ask you 1.5 million times, "Are you going to finance? Are you going to finance it?" "Not sure yet. Not sure yet. Not sure yet. I don't know. I don't know." You know, always be vague about that. And then once the deal is tabled, it's right on your desk, and they want you to sign on that dotted line, slide that piece of paper back across the table and tell them, "Now, how much money are you going to give me as a kickback?
Yeah.
Because I know you're getting it if I finance with you."
Yep.
You know, and good rule of thumb I've always hit them with is split it with me.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Just so you get something. You know,
have to.
So that's a big, big thing to make sure you have a discussion, but keep your dealers honest. That's a big thing.
Well, and we have discussed a lot with the 2 previous videos. If you can't get it in writing, I'm currently dealing with a customer right now. He's going up against my out-the-door price with an advertised price. They won't give him anything in writing. They said, "Come on in."
Strange.
They said, "Come on in."
We'll
talk.
I just dealt with that, and it's sad that I had to create a whole nother person to go out and get their out the door price just to show it to their customer.
Exactly.
Right.
That's terrifying.
I don't know if people are afraid to ask those certain questions or to be in that situation. Me, I'm I'm very headstrong. I'm going to go. I'm going to ask those uncomfortable questions. I want to make you feel uncomfortable, if anything, because I know the game. So I mean, we're just trying to help you guys with the purchase. There is a lot of I don't, at this part, I don't want to say misinformation, but there's just not enough out there.
Right.
There's not enough. It's supposed to be the secret that that only dealers and manufacturers know about.